Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Tyler Morrison never thought his life would change completely on an ordinary Thursday in October. At 38, he stuck to his usual routine, waking up at 6, making coffee, taking a shower, and driving to the big box store where he'd worked as a sales associate for 12 years. He was a simple man with predictable habits, finding comfort in life's small moments. The two-story house he lived in, with its well-kept front yard, was his most precious inheritance. His parents had passed away 3 years earlier in a car accident, and this place held every happy memory of his childhood and youth. Jennifer, his wife of 34, worked as a marketing manager for a tech company across town. They'd met 8 years ago at a corporate event, when Tyler was delivering supplies to the department where she worked. Their courtship was quick and intense, and within a year they were married. Jennifer was always focused on her career, ambitious, driven. Tyler admired that about her. When they talked about having kids, she was clear, she wanted to invest in her professional path. Tyler accepted it without resentment. He figured they had time, that things would change eventually. That Thursday, Tyler got home at 7, like always. The house was dark and quiet. Jennifer usually arrived around 6:30, sometimes later if she had meetings. He called her. The call went straight to voicemail. He tried again 15 minutes later. Same result. A quiet unease started forming in his chest, but he tried to rationalize it. Maybe her phone battery died, maybe she had an unexpected work commitment. By 9 p.m., the unease had turned to anxiety. He called her company, but hit the voicemail again. He sent texts, messages on the app, even an email. Nothing. He thought about calling the police, but it felt over the top. After all, Jennifer was an adult, independent, there had to be a simple explanation. He spent the night awake on the living room sofa, checking his phone every 5 minutes. Every car that passed on the street made his heart jump, hoping it was her. When the sun rose on Friday, Tyler was exhausted, confused, and starting to feel something he couldn't name. At 8:15 a.m., his phone buzzed. A message from Jennifer. He opened it with slightly trembling hands. The words were short, direct, and devastating. I'm not coming back. I want a divorce. I haven't been happy for a long time. Tyler read the message 3 times, then 2 more. Each word felt distant, like he was reading about someone else's life. I haven't been happy for a long time. What did that even mean? They didn't fight. There were no serious arguments, no long silences, no visible resentment. Sure, their routine was predictable, but Tyler always thought that was comforting, not a problem. He tried calling right away. Blocked. Sent a text. Not delivered. Jennifer had cut off all contact. Over the weekend, Tyler barely got out of bed. He called in sick to work. The house, which had always been his sanctuary, now felt suffocating and empty. Every room held memories, the kitchen where Jennifer made coffee on Sundays, the living room where they watched movies, the bedroom where they woke up together. He tried to replay recent conversations, searching for signs he might have missed. But there was nothing. Absolutely nothing that suggested she was this unhappy, this ready to walk away without so much as a real warning. On Monday, Tyler went back to work because staying home was making everything worse. During lunch, he talked to Marcus, an older coworker who'd gone through a tough divorce years earlier. Marcus listened to everything, then said something that stuck with Tyler. When someone walks out like this, out of nowhere, with no explanation, there's usually someone waiting on the other side. Tyler tried to brush it off, but the idea clung to him like a stubborn seed. That same afternoon, Marcus gave Tyler the contact of a private investigator who'd helped him with his own case. Tyler hesitated. Hiring a PI felt dramatic, over the top, like something out of a movie. But the total lack of explanation was eating away at his sanity. He needed to know. He needed to understand what had happened to the woman who'd promised to love him forever. Tyler called the investigator on Tuesday morning. The man, who introduced himself as Davis, had a calm, professional voice. He explained cases like this were common and usually yielded results within a week to 10 days. Tyler hired him immediately, giving all the necessary details: Jennifer's full name, her company address, her license plate, her known routines. Davis assured him he'd be discreet and efficient. The next 10 days were the longest of Tyler's life. He moved on autopilot, woke up, went to work, came home, tried to eat something, and lay staring at the ceiling until exhaustion finally pulled him under. The house he'd inherited from his parents, once a symbol of safety, now felt like a mausoleum for a dead marriage. He avoided the master bedroom, sleeping on the sofa or in the old guest room. On Thursday of that week, exactly 10 days after hiring Davis, Tyler got a call. The investigator had the report ready and wanted to meet in person. They arranged to meet at a quiet cafe near the store. When Tyler arrived, Davis was already seated at a corner table, a brown envelope in front of him. Davis didn't waste time with small talk. He slid the envelope across the table. "You'll want to sit down before you open this," he said, his voice carrying something that sounded like professional compassion. Tyler opened the envelope with fingers that didn't feel like his own. Inside was a detailed report, printed photos, and a list of dates and times. The first photos showed Jennifer entering a fancy downtown restaurant. She wasn't alone. A middle-aged man with neatly graying hair and a perfectly tailored suit walked beside her. Their body language was unmistakable, his hand resting on the small of her back, the intimate smile, the way she leaned into him. Tyler flipped to the next photo. Jennifer and the same man leaving a hotel. Then another, them inside a car, their faces too close to be professional. The report identified the man as Richard Castellano, 45, Jennifer's direct supervisor at work. Married for 15 years. Father of 2 children. The report listed 8 separate meetings over the past 3 weeks, including long lunches, late dinners, and 3 documented entries at hotels near the financial district. Tyler felt like the air had been sucked out of the cafe. It wasn't shock, not exactly. It was deeper, more destructive. It was the feeling that everything he'd believed in over the past 8 years had been a carefully constructed lie. Davis let Tyler sit in silence for a few minutes before speaking. "There's more," he said, sliding over another set of documents. Messages recovered from her company phone backup. The company uses servers that keep records. "I have a contact in IT." The messages were explicit. Future plans, declarations of love, discussions about how and when they'd leave their spouses. Jennifer had written to Richard 2 weeks before she disappeared, "I can't keep pretending anymore. I need to be with you. I'm filing for divorce next week." Richard's reply, "Me too, my love. Let's build the life we deserve." Tyler closed the envelope. His hand was strangely steady now. The initial pain was being replaced by something colder, sharper. Clarity. He looked at Davis and asked a simple question: "Can you make extra copies of this report?" Davis nodded. "How many do you need?" Tyler thought for a moment. 3. 1 for her HR department. 1 for his wife. And 1 for my lawyer. Davis gave a slight smile, one that suggested he'd seen this kind of determination before. "I can have everything ready by tomorrow morning." Tyler thanked him, paid the remaining fee, and left the cafe. For the first time in nearly 2 weeks, he had a purpose. It wouldn't be revenge for revenge's sake. It would be justice. If Jennifer and Richard thought they could destroy families and walk away unscathed, they were terribly mistaken. On Friday morning, Tyler received 3 sealed envelopes from Davis. He spent the day researching the proper procedures. He found the email address for Jennifer's company HR department. He drafted a formal email, attached the full report with all photos and evidence, and sent it at 3 p.m. The subject line was simple: formal complaint, violation of code of conduct and conflict of interest. In the body, he explained who he was, laid out the situation, and provided all evidence that a manager was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a direct subordinate. The second envelope was more personal. Tyler searched for Amanda Castellano on social media. She had a public profile filled with photos of her family, kids at soccer games, birthday celebrations. A life that looked happy, stable. Tyler felt a momentary pang of guilt, but pushed it aside. Amanda deserved to know the truth, just as he had. He sent the full report to the Castellanos' home address via express mail, ensuring it arrived Saturday morning when Richard would likely be home. The third envelope went to a divorce lawyer recommended by Marcus. Tyler scheduled a consultation for Monday morning. He'd make sure the separation process was clean, fast, and completely in his favor. The house was his parents' inheritance, in his name before the marriage. According to the lawyer he'd spoken to by phone, Jennifer had no legal claim to the property. On Sunday, Tyler cleaned the house completely. He took down every photo of Jennifer from the walls, packed her clothes and belongings into boxes he left in the garage. It wasn't anger, it was necessity to move forward. Every item removed felt like lifting a weight off his shoulders. For the first time since that fateful Thursday, he slept in the master bedroom. The bed felt bigger, but not necessarily worse. On Monday, the world of Jennifer and Richard began to collapse. The company's HR department launched an immediate formal investigation. Relationships between supervisors and subordinates were taken extremely seriously due to the risk of workplace harassment and favoritism lawsuits. Jennifer was called into a meeting with HR at 9 a.m. Richard was called separately at 10. Both were suspended pending an internal audit. Amanda Castellano, meanwhile, had received the envelope on Saturday. According to what Tyler later learned through mutual acquaintances, she confronted Richard immediately. The argument was explosive. The kids heard everything. To Amanda, Richard wasn't just an unfaithful husband, he was a man who jeopardized the entire family's financial and emotional stability for an affair with an employee. She kicked him out that same day, and by Monday morning, she already had a lawyer lined up. The company's investigation took 4 days. On Friday of that week, both Jennifer and Richard were fired for cause. The official reason cited violation of corporate ethics, conflict of interest, and conduct incompatible with company values. They lost not only their jobs, but any chance at severance or professional references. Jennifer tried calling Tyler that Friday night. He didn't answer. She sent long, tearful messages begging to talk. Tyler blocked the number. All communication from now on would go through lawyers. On Saturday morning, Jennifer showed up at the house. Tyler didn't open the door. He simply pointed to the boxes visible in the garage window and went back inside. But Jennifer's collapse was only beginning. On the following Monday, she went to see Richard. They met at a quiet cafe, far from anywhere they might be recognized. Jennifer looked shattered, dark circles, rumpled clothes. She'd expected comfort, plans for the future they'd talked about, the life they deserved together. What she got was something completely different. Richard was furious. He'd lost a 20-year career, a 6-figure salary, his children's respect, and his marriage. Amanda was demanding the house, heavy alimony, and full custody of the kids. His lawyers had made it clear he'd be financially destroyed in the divorce. And Richard blamed Jennifer for it all. "You destroyed my life," Richard said, his voice icy. "I had everything. A career, a family, stability. And now? Now I have nothing. Because of you." Jennifer tried to argue, reminded him of their promises, their plans. Richard cut her off at every turn. "Promises? Those were fantasies, Jennifer. Don't you get it? I never intended to leave my real family. It was just fun. A distraction. And you took it too far. The words hit Jennifer like physical blows. She'd sacrificed her marriage, her job, her reputation, for a man who now said she'd been nothing but a distraction. Richard stood up from the table. "Don't contact me again. I never want to see you. You were the biggest mistake I ever made." He walked out without looking back. Jennifer sat alone in that cafe for over an hour, staring into nothing. When she finally stood, she had nowhere to go. She was temporarily staying with a friend, unemployed, with no real savings because she'd always spent her entire salary on clothes and luxury experiences. And now, without Richard, the reality of her choices hit her with full force. In desperation, Jennifer made one last play. She showed up at the house again, shouting from outside, begging Tyler to let her in, to talk, to fix things. Tyler called the police. They arrived in 10 minutes and politely escorted Jennifer off the property, warning her that returning would be trespassing. The next day, Jennifer sent a long email to Tyler through her lawyer. She admitted her mistake, said she was confused, that she'd made a terrible error, that she still loved him, and that they deserved a second chance. Tyler read the email once and instructed his lawyer to reply with 3 words: "Offer rejected. Proceed." The divorce process moved surprisingly fast. With all the evidence of adultery and the fact that the house was Tyler's premarital inheritance, there wasn't much to argue over. Jennifer tried claiming financial compensation, arguing she'd contributed to maintaining the house during the marriage. The judge rejected it. Her contributions were negligible compared to the inherited property's value, and the proven adultery weighed heavily against any claim for asset division. In 3 months, the divorce was finalized. Jennifer received only her personal belongings and a small amount equal to half of a joint account they'd shared. No alimony, no property division, nothing beyond the complete and absolute dissolution of 8 years of marriage. 6 months after that fateful Thursday, Tyler was in the backyard, planting new flowers in the garden his mother had once tended. It was a sunny spring Saturday. His phone buzzed with a message. It was from Amanda Castellano. They'd exchanged a few messages over the past few months, both navigating simultaneous divorces. The message read, "My divorce was finalized yesterday. I thought you'd want to know. Thank you for giving me the truth when I needed it. It changed everything. I hope you're doing well." Tyler smiled slightly and replied, "I'm glad to hear it. You and your kids deserve better. All the best to you." He put his phone in his pocket and went back to planting. The house, the one his parents had built with so much love, finally felt like his again. There were no more shadows of betrayal in the halls, no more lies in the walls. Tyler didn't know where Jennifer was or what she was doing, and he genuinely didn't care. He'd heard through mutual acquaintances that she was struggling to find work in her field, that her professional reputation was ruined, that she was living in a tiny apartment on the other side of town. But those details reached him like news about a distant stranger, not someone who'd once filled his heart. As he watered the newly planted flowers, Tyler thought of something Davis, the investigator, had said during that meeting at the cafe: "Truth always finds a way. The only question is how much damage it causes along the way." Tyler had chosen to control that damage, to guide that truth so it brought justice, not blind revenge. The house was quiet around him, but it wasn't the suffocating silence of abandonment anymore. It was peace. It was a fresh start. It was the sound of a life being rebuilt, brick by brick, on a foundation that was finally his alone, built on honesty, not illusion. Tyler finished watering the flowers, wiped his hands on his pants, and went back inside. There was work to do, hobbies to pick up, an entire life waiting to be lived without the weight of a betrayal that had almost destroyed him. He'd survived. And more than that, he'd thrived. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.